If you write test on Sunday, I will try to schedule the discussion in the following week. And test 3 and 4 we will do first, because these are the recent tests. I wanted to finish them off first, since you also wrote them recently and memory is fresh. 1 and 2 we have anyway delayed, so one more week of delay really won't make any difference. If I do 1 and 2 now, I will have to do 3 and 4 next week. At least now we are doing 3 and 4 on time and delaying only 1 and 2. If I did 1 and 2 now and 3 and 4 next week, then we would have delayed both. So 1 and 2 is anyway delayed, we can't help it. So next week we will do it. At least if we do 3 and 4 today, we would have done 3 and 4 on time. That's the reason why I thought I'll do 3 and 4 first. And you are also your memory is fresh for 3 and 4 anyway. Right? So first we look at 3, AST 3. First question is lineage. These are very simple questions. So some of you are having difficulty with basics. That's the reason why there is some difficulty in terms of how you are writing. So try to please develop that basic conceptual clarity, then things will be easy. So lineage and clan is very simple. But before that, generally, how do we go about writing answers? That's another point that we will discuss before we go into content. So see, whenever you have any concept for these topics, try to keep it very simple. First, basic intro. Don't do these blunders. Basic intro must be there, and intro must not be more than like 2 to 3 or 4 lines. That's it. 2 to 3 or 4 lines. So take your scripts. Some of your scripts are already here. So intro should be 2 to 3 lines, and then you break down the question into 2 to 3 subparts. Break down the question into 2 to 3 subparts. What are these 2 to 3 subparts? Depending on the question, you have to evolve those subparts, and these subparts become your side headings. Side heading 1, side heading 2, and then side heading 3. Under each heading, at least 3 to 4 points. That's it. That's how you have to write, and then finally top it up, close it with a reasonable conclusion. This is how you have to look at any question. Very simple. Some of you are not following this. There are no headings. You're writing in lengthy paragraphs. No points. If you're writing in points, try to at least show a point. I saw one script today morning where the student wrote in points, but there is no arrow, no asterisk, no dot, nothing. There's just points with, I didn't know that there are points or what it is. So please indicate what you are writing in this manner. And on top of it, how do you improve your answers? Also, you have to take up something called as, wherever needed, value addition. So what is value addition? First, when you are writing, if you are writing definition, your definition should be very clear, and definition must, it's not like you have to write verbatim of a definition. You at least have to write keywords. The definition must have keywords. Then, if you are in socio-cultural anthro, wherever relevant, please write thinkers. So I pointed out in some student scripts where thinkers were not written. So you must write the corresponding thinker. Who gave a concept? Reciprocity. Who gave it? Right? And even while writing features, like you are writing about horticulture, you should write keywords. I think one student script was very verbose, and it was very generic, elaborate content. No elaboration, no keywords, no specificity. If you find a comment in your script that answer is generic and not specific enough, then this is for you. That is, you must write keywords, and the content should be to the point. It should not be verbose, detailed and elaborate. You should just write to the point, and wherever needed, use keywords, and the point should be to the bullseye. Don't write the entire story. If you use why do we use keywords? We use keywords so that we can tell a lot in less words. If you are writing a lot to tell a lot, then you have a problem. If you are writing a lot to tell a lot, then there is a problem. If you are writing less to tell a lot, that is how you should be. So keywords help us communicate a lot of meaning and a lot of understanding without really writing a lot. That's why you have to use them. And content should be specific. You shouldn't write about all the history, all the unnecessary details. You should know where to stretch yourself and where to cut short. You can't just stretch wherever you like. That is another issue that you have to keep in mind. And then another important thing in socio-cultural anthro is examples. Please include examples in the answers, because if you are not writing case studies or if you are not supporting your content with examples, then the point is not conveyed. Clear? So other things I will discuss as we discuss question specific inputs also we will take up, but this is a general framework, right? Whenever I look at an answer, I need to see headings, points clearly, because the math is very simple. In the examination, what do you think the examiner has? The examiner, you write the exam in how many minutes? You take 3 hours to write. How much time do you think he has to evaluate your script? How much time do you think he'll give for your script that you wrote for 3 hours? How much do you think he'll give? 10 is too short. Half an hour. You are very optimistic. In UPSC, generally, what we know is examiners are given something like a bundle of 40 scripts to begin with, and they have 8 hours to finish it. They give a bundle. If you don't finish the bundle, you have to stay till you finish and go. Generally, we know how. And who do you think comes to the evaluation? If it is UPSC, generally you get some local university assistant professors. If it is APPSC, it's even more horrible. You will get some degree college lecturers. If it is UPSC, they will call. Don't think that Delhi University professors, JNU professors will come and look at your script. They have better things to do in the world. In fact, evaluating scripts is the most boring job in the world. And for what UPSC pays, nobody will come. Isn't it? In fact, we pay better than UPSC for script evaluation. So whoever comes are coming there just because they are in some college like Krishnadevaraya University, Kakatiya University, or Nagarjuna University, Nannaya University, where they have no career progression anyway. And coming to UPSC evaluation is a good resume point. They will go back and tell I went to UPSC evaluation. So they are anyway doing nothing in the college, they are bored. So they go to UPSC because it's like 10 days break from Rajahmundry or Nellore or Kadapa. They can go and come for 10 days in Delhi and come back and tell we went to UPSC. That is their incentive. The money is not the incentive. The job is anyway boring. So they go. And they are given a bundle of 40, and generally working hours, as you know, are 8 hours with lunch. So will such a professor, such a person stay extra time to give more time to your script? Generally not. He wants to go early because he can take a walk around India Gate. It is next to UPSC anyway. Or he can go and have a good meal in Andhra Bhavan. So they want to finish by 5 and go. He has 40 scripts, 8 hours, which means he must do how many scripts per hour? How many scripts per hour? 5. How much time does he give? 5 scripts per 1 hour, 60 minutes, 5 scripts. 12 minutes. Around 12 minutes. If it is better than that, somebody can give you 50. This is UPSC. In APPSC, they even give 50 to 60 sometimes. So this is so in 12 minutes, let us assume 12. 12 is a reasonable time. He is trying to finish your script in 12 minutes. How many questions do we write in optional? In GS you are writing 20, in optional we write 19 questions. So 19 questions and 12 minutes, which is less than a minute per question. That is that attention span. So we are dealing with this kind of a system, right? So which means we should make the examiner's job easy. How do we do that? When he looks at a script, he should not try to figure out what is he saying, where is the point. No. When he looks at a script, it should be clear. How is the content clear? Only when you write like that. When I look at the subheading, keywords, underline, example, he only scans through your answer. He doesn't have time to really read every word you are writing. He's only just scanning through the answer. 1 minute, can he read 3 pages? Not really. Less than 1 minute, 30 seconds. So he only has time to scan and write. So when he's scanning, when is scanning effective? When the content is logically arranged in a neat structure. That's where framework becomes very important. It is not just about content, please. The content must be presented in a nice framework. Then the moment he looks at your script, he knows, okay, fine, this point is here, this point is here, the example is here, done. And don't think he's going to do some great analysis about your answer. For them, it is very clear. Imagine I have 4 buckets before me, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the moment I look at an answer in 30 seconds, I must throw an answer in one of the bucket. That is what they are doing. The moment they look at an answer, they are merely categorizing. They are not doing any complex intellectual work there, no processing, no complex processing. They are just thinking, this is the answer. Where do I throw it? 3, 4, 5, 6. Where do I throw it? So, you should make him think, you should mostly try to throw your answer in 5 or 6 and not in 3 and 4. Generally, very few answers get 2 and below. Very few get 7 and above. Because if somebody gives 7 or 8 to an answer, there will be a chief examiner above him who will be monitoring all of this. So, if somebody gets abnormal score can be abnormally low, abnormally high. Then the chief examiner does scrutiny. So, if I gave 7 and if I gave 8 and if he thinks you deserve only 6, it's a humiliation for me, which means my judgment has been found to be wrong. So, I don't want that to happen. So, what do? I will generally give only 7, because if I give above 7, somebody will come and check again. Or I should be so confident that you wrote extremely well that even if anybody looks, they will give you 8. Only then I will do it. Even then I should be courageous enough to do it in the first place. So most often you get something between 3 to 7 for an answer. 7 on the high end, 3 for a reasonably, even if it is a decent attempt. If I give 1 or 2 also, is very rare. 8, 9 is also very rare. So we should be aiming for 6s or 7s. And nothing below 5. And to do that, he is looking at your answer and he thinks, intro is there, conclusion, all the dimensions have been touched, keywords are there, he has quoted the thinker, diagram is here, example is here, fine, 6, 7, that's all. In 30 seconds, he only does this much of processing. And we have to make sure we handle this process well. Clear? What are the conditions in which you are operating? So don't, if you just write however you like, don't think they'll evaluate. Because your life, your situation here is like the leaf we talk about. If a leaf falls on a thorn or a thorn falls on a leaf, who is going to suffer? It is a leaf. You know that famous proverb, right? So your life is also like that here now. If you make mistake or he makes mistake, who is going to suffer? You. So ideally, you don't want to make a mistake on your side as well as on his side. So you make sure he doesn't do a mistake by making his job easy. How do you make his job easy? When he looks at it, very clear. He should not be working hard to correct your paper. And in fact, I can tell you an honest truth. A good script doesn't take time. If a script is taking time, that's the first sign it is not a good script. A good script takes less than 10 minutes to correct. Because everything is neatly organized. There is no searching, it is neat. By neatness, again, I don't mean that all of you must have graphic handwriting, because handwriting is something we cannot change in the limited time we have. But legibility, letters are clear. Things are very, very legible. I am not confused between whether it is a E, I or O. Or it is a M, R, N or what is it. There is no such confusion. Letters are clear and there is good spacing. It is not like the whole thing is stuffed into one page. There is reasonable spacing and letters are neither too small nor too big. Reasonably sized letters with good legibility, good spacing and very good structuring. That is what a good script should look like. Then my job of evaluation becomes easy. And look at him. He wants to finish if possible 4:30 and go. He won't stretch himself beyond 5 to correct your script. Which means we have to make his job easy, then we get better marks. We can make his job easy by making our script neat, by writing to the point and by writing only what is needed. Don't fill the pages. Don't write cow stories. This won't work here. Because they are clearly told, if there is this content, then give these many marks and so on. They have a model answer also. So just because you wrote 3 pages, they won't give. You can write 3 pages and still get 2 marks if there are no points that are expected in your answer. In fact, I have been more lenient with your scripts. They will be much more harsh because I didn't want you to feel demotivated. In reality, they'll be much more harsh. Even when somebody didn't get to the point, I was a little lax because I didn't want to put your spirits down. But in the actual exam, they'll be harsher than what I have been with you. So you have to make sure you don't suffer from this. So neatness, to the point. Don't write stories and don't write unnecessary content. And like I said, the content must be very well framed. It should have a very, very neat and structured framework. That's how we have to look at the whole thing. Clear? Right. So with that introduction, we will discuss first lineage and clan. Very simple. What should the intro be? Intro should say that these are all UDGs. What is lineage and clan? They all belong to unilineal descent groups. I think you wrote a good diagram, so you can just draw a diagram showing from lineage, clan, moiety, phratry, how are they all connected? That's it. And after that, draw a table for such questions. Table is very good. Lineage, clan. And very clearly answer, what is lineage? Lineage is a set of kin who share common ancestry and the ancestor is known. Clan, the ancestor is unknown. That is a fundamental difference. If you don't write this, the whole thing goes waste. And then lineage has demonstrated descent. Clan has stipulated descent. That is another difference. Lineage members often tend to reside together, whereas clan members are scattered over a region. Then lineage members have very good, strong economic functions they may not have. But what is it that clan has? Clans have very important significance that they have totems as labeling marks, whereas lineages need not have such totems. And then lineages can be matri-patri, clans can be patri-matri as well. So these are the core points. On top of this, you can add any additional points. But if these are not there, this is what I said. These are required, mandatory. On top of this, you can write your own additional points. That is fine. But if you don't write this, you don't get marks. Clear? Next, complementary filiation. This is very simple. So when you write complementary filiation, what is complementary filiation? Generally, you can say that complementary filiation is in extension to unilineal descent. That is, in unilineal descent groups, generally we assume that people share kinship ties only with one side of the family, but complementary filiation suggests that that may not be so. In fact, this theory was proposed by scholars who are called as descent theorists, and like Mayer Fortes. He must be there, Mayer Fortes. He must be there. And you say that people reckon, though they are patrilineal, they may have some links on the matrilineal side. Though they are matrilineal, they may have some links on the patrilineal side. That is what we call as complementary filiation. And then reasons for this, why this is so. So complementary filiation, why do they have relations on the other side also? One, because in unilineal descent, in the descent group, relations are based more on power and authority, because it is rigid relationship, and having relations with the other side of the family, this provides for more emotional bonding, because in descent group, things are very, very authority and hierarchy based, whereas this provides for greater emotional bonding. And second, it also provides for individuality, because in descent group, everybody is indistinguished on the basis of descent, whereas complementary filiation links provide for individuality and they provide for unique relations. So these are essential points. And then you can say that Complementary filiation strengthens unilineal descent because individuals have some relations outside descent which gives these other functions. This helps them survive in descent groups. Without these supporting systems, people may eventually be fed up with descent groups and they may rebel against them. But having those supporting systems actually makes unilineal descent work. But if people are only living unilineal descent and there is no emotional relationship, there is no individuality, and they are just forced to live in that authority structure, people may be fed up and one day they may just rebel against the whole structure and the whole structure may collapse. Right? Next, functions and dysfunctions of family. Here I think some of you had issue, so I'll give you content here. So functions, when you are discussing functions, first you can begin with definition of family. This is the definition of family that we have in Ember and Ember. You can please use this. That is, what is family? It is a social and economic unit consisting minimally of one or more parents or parent substitutes and their children. This is a definition that is given by Ember and Ember, and you can use this. Some of you wrote GP Murdoch's definition, that is also fine. And then when you discuss functions, you can use these GP Murdoch's functional view. Use GP Murdoch's. Nobody wrote thinkers, that is a problem. Here for this question, thinkers are needed and you didn't write thinkers. So take GP Murdoch and discuss the 4 functions that he is giving. And then along with GP Murdoch, the other most important person is Talcott Parsons. Talcott Parsons says that family performs certain basic and irreducible functions. He is saying that family performs certain basic and irreducible functions. One of them is primary socialization, the other is stabilization of adult personality. So we have to discuss GP Murdoch as well as Talcott Parsons. Both are needed. I will share these slides, don't worry. Both these have to be discussed. What, 5 minutes? Next, these are not needed. This I gave for extra reading. Along with that, if it comes for a 15 marker, then you can add R.K. Merton also. R.K. Merton says family has some manifest functions and family also has certain latent functions. Latent functions are what are called as hidden, or these are functions that we can call as unseen, hidden or unseen functions. Manifest functions are which are visible, clearly visible. They are called as manifest functions. So you have manifest functions and you also have latent functions. And then we talk about dysfunctions. When talking about dysfunctions, you broadly touch upon the Marxist view, and we broadly also touch upon the feminist view, then what Edmund Leach said and what R.D. Lyons said. So what do Marxists say? Marxists says that this whole idea of monogamous nuclear family emerged just to protect private property. It has emerged so that we can protect the notion and concept of private property. Feminists like Anne Oakley, they propose that the whole idea of family is a patriarchal construct, that family has been proposed by men so that women can continue to do unpaid labor and women can be dominated by men. So they propose, the feminists take the view that family is a system where women are dominated by men. Edmund Leach says that in modern family is isolated from larger society and kin, and because of that modern family is going through huge amount of stress and tension, and increasingly parents and children are huddled together in their own loneliness and they try to take too much out of each other, and as a result parents fight and children rebel. So modern family, he says, is like an electric circuit which can explode at any moment. Then you have R.D. Lyons. R.D. Lyons says family is a institution where individuals are conditioned. He says that individuals carry the blueprint of their family, and as a result individuals, their personality is molded by their family, and because of that they always think in terms of, family makes them think in terms of us and them. They look at the world as me and my family is one, everybody else out there is other. So I am always thinking about me and my family, and the whole world is seen as quite different. And also children are taught this whole idea of obedience and discipline in family. and as a result, children get conditioned to authority at home. And when they become adults, they develop this attitude where if somebody is having authority, they bow down before them, or that they begin to obey unquestioningly. They lose their capacity to question authority. So he says family has all these detrimental impacts on children. One, it conditions children. Children's personality is impacted by family conditions. Second, he says family creates a defensive barrier against children. Family makes children think in terms of us, my family, and the whole world out there is there to exploit me. And third, he says children are taught this whole obedience culture by family. So this is what R.D. Lyang has to say about family, and we find this in his book, The Politics of Family. So you can take these thinkers and their views and write. I gave you more content than what you need for a 10 marker. Then family and household. We have family and household. I think this, okay. Before we go to family and household, let us look at question 8, because it is in the same context. Question number 8. Define family and explain the different types of family. Question number 8. Define family, and this most of you wrote well, so I'll just quickly run you through the content. So just again define family as per Ember and Ember, or again GP Murdoch. And when discussing the different types of family, these are the different criteria. You must first discuss family on the basis of size. That's where you get nuclear family and extended family. On the basis of authority, this is 1, this is 2. Here you get matriarchal and patriarchal family. Then on the basis of descent, here you get matrilineal and patrilineal. Then on the basis of marriage, here you get monogamous, polygynous and polyandrous. Then on the basis of residence, then on the basis of household, you can have joint household, nuclear household or single parent household. Then you have on the basis of membership, you can either have conjugal family, that is family by marriage, or consanguine family, that is family by blood relations or birth. Then the other way to look at it is family of orientation and family of procreation. Family of orientation is one in which you are born. Family of procreation is one that you create by getting married and having children. And finally, if possible, draw this diagram. This diagram is given again by GP Murdoch. Draw this diagram. That's how you can handle question number 8. Clear? Next, family and household. Here some of you wrote well, but others had some problem. So what is this whole concept of family and household? So family and household are two different concepts. What is first? Define what is family. How do we define what is family? So this is how you can define them. Family is a social unit which is based on kinship, whereas household is a dwelling or residential unit. So one is based on kinship, the other is based on residence. And what is core feature of family? Emotional attachment. This is the core feature of family, whereas for household, emotional attachment is not needed. And give some examples of household. These are different ways in which you can classify household. Household can be hostel, hotel, it can be an apartment complex. All of these together can be a household. And why is household becoming important in the recent days? Why is household becoming important in the recent days? Household is becoming important because of rising serial monogamy. What is serial monogamy? Rising serial monogamy and rising divorce rate. Because of serial monogamy and divorce rate, what's happening is that people are going through multiple marriages. That's why in the same household, you can have different families. Person A is married to person B. Man and woman are married. They are both divorced. They have 2 children. One child lives with the husband, another with the mother. Now both these people get married again. And they have children in the second marriage again. So in their house, you will have 2 families, but one single household. So because of serial monogamy, we are forced to make a difference between family versus household. That is the fundamental reason for this trend. So this is a chart which gives you how in the US, in case of US, how The whole thing of family, household and single parent families is going through a change. So this is also a household. So in China, you have these dormitories. For example, if all of you take a PG in Gachibowli to work, that's household. So in China, people from various villages come to the cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Tianjin, and there they live in these kind of dormitories because they come here to have a job. This is a household. Hostels that you're living here is a household. It's not family. So that is what you mean by household. And we discussed Anthony Giddens. He is the one who said that household is rising because of serial monogamy. And then in India, in case of India, we have to discuss about A.M. Shah. A.M. Shah is one thinker who studied household in great detail in Indian context. So A.M. Shah is saying that in India, many believe that in India, joint family was declining. Joint family was declining, and they believed that joint family was changing to nuclear family. But A.M. Shah said this is not true. A.M. Shah said that today what is happening is joint family is changing. People are living in joint, but joint family members are living in different households. Like you have a family of 4 brothers. 2 brothers get job in the city, 2 others live in the village. The brothers are living in the city and 2 are living in the village with parents. Now, this does not mean that they have completely separated. They are living in different households. 2 in the city because of jobs, 2 are in the village. But for many things they meet, festivals, they go to city or they come to village. Or if they have to take care of parents, they discuss. They discuss regularly, they meet regularly, they take decisions together. So it is not like joint family the jointness has not disappeared. It is only that they are now living in separate households. So A.M. Shah pointed out that in India, families are living in different households, but jointness still exists in their emotional or in their thinking. So he said that household in itself is neither joint or nuclear, but becomes not here. So he said that we are undergoing a process of nuclearization in residence, but jointness still exists in thinking. And he also says that whether a family is joint or nuclear also depends on its developmental cycle. Whether a family is nuclear or joint also depends on developmental cycle. He says a family, it is not like, he says this is not the right view. He says instead it is like this. That is, joint families can go through regression and this can go through progression. So we see this here. A joint family can break down to become nuclear because there is a death, there is a divorce or there is a out marriage. A nuclear family can progress to become a joint. This can happen through birth, through adoption or through in marriage. So a nuclear family can become joint. If you have, let's say, there is mother, father and children. They have 3 children. They are all living together. The children are married, but they choose to live with the parents in the same house. Then nuclear became joint. Now parents died. The 3 brothers are living together. After parents died, they all separated and wanted to have their own households. Then they again became nuclear. So A.M. Shah is telling that don't fix things, that it is joint only or nuclear only. Family has what is called as a developmental cycle, and it goes through a process of regression and progression. So joint can regress to become nuclear, nuclear can progress to become joint. That is another view that A.M. Shah proposes. So please go through this. So through this concept, he is trying to show that the proportion of joint families has remained the same, if not increased over the past several decades. This is because jointness must be understood in terms of orientation and not in terms of residence. So to show that residence is different, means household is different, but jointness still exists. A.M. Shah helped coin this household concept in India. Clear what is household now? And to this, if you have time, you can also add another concept called domestic group. What is a domestic group? Domestic group are the people who share a common household. Because family is not household, isn't it? You are all living in a hostel. All those who are living in a hostel, are they one family? No. But what should they be called? Domestic group. Those who share a common household are called as those who belong to a domestic group. So, domestic group is another concept that is coined to say that members who share a household constitute a domestic group but not necessarily a family. That is the concept. Clear? Family and household. Next is bilateral kinship. Next is bilateral kinship. Again, it is very easy. So, please define what is this. I don't think you require discussion. Define what is bilateral kinship. That is, you hold relations. This is very similar to complementary filiation. That is, here you are not tracing descent unilinearly, but you are tracing connections on both sides of the family, both mother's and father's side. And bilateral kinship gives rise to what is called as. So, if kindred is not there in your answer, that's a big negative. After discussing kindred, then talk about the features of bilateral kinship, draw the diagram of bilateral kinship, and discuss the functions of bilateral kinship, and explain under what conditions bilateral kinship exists. Features, it is ego-centered. First, bilateral kinship is ego-centered, so only siblings share the common group, and it is not permanent, it is only part-time. Then other feature is, it is membership is not clear, membership is vague. So these features must be written. And of course, I forgot examples. Then diagram, and then functions. It does not have strong functions like unilineal descent group, but bilateral kinship can have other functions like helping arrange marriage or some kind of economic cooperation. That's all. It does not have strong religious and political functions. What conditions? Bilateral kinship is generally found in societies where they have neolocal residents and where there is high extent of commercialization. Like in Western societies, you have bilateral kinship. Then examples, there are a lot of examples. You can talk about the Iban of Borneo. They are a famous example of bilateral kinship. Along with that, you can also refer to the modern Western societies. That's it. Clear? Bilateral kinship. Next, sixth question is difficult. For 10th question, I shared a handout. Please go through that. So, I will give a brief outline of 10th. 8th we discuss. 6, 7 and 9 we will discuss now. So, 6 is a question that was asked last year. So, what should you do? Discuss how rules of descent contradict the principles of residence in matrilineal society. So, what is matrilineal society? I will give a summary. This question, you have the right content is given in ember and ember under matrilineal. So, in matrilineal societies, descent is matrilineal, yes. Rules of descent contradict the principles of residence. What is residence? Residence is matrilocal. But how does authority work? Authority is tends to be along patriarchal lines. So, descent is matrilineal, authority tends to be along patriarchal lines, and residence is also matrilocal. So, what happens if authority is patriarchal, then who holds authority even in matrilineal? It is males. So, what happens in matrilineal society is, a man belongs to which group? How do you draw matrilineal? You can draw this diagram first. This is matrilineal, right? That is mother, her children, then daughter's children, again granddaughter's children, and so on. Son's family, sons, grandsons' families are excluded. This is matrilineal. So what happens in matrilineal is, women, you are tracing descent through them, but authority is with man. So in this household, this man is the person who holds authority in this family. He has authority because his sister is the head of the family, let's say, and he has to hold authority. Let's say the mother died. He holds authority. But then he marries another girl. And they follow which principle of residence? Matrilocal. So after marriage, he must go and live with his wife. So it gives rise to a very peculiar condition where this man has to live with his wife after marriage. But then he's supposed to be managing the affairs in his sister's house. Because based on descent, he belongs to this family. But he has to reside with, so let's call this A, this she is B. She belongs to family B, group B. What is his group? A. He belongs to matrilineal group A. But after marriage, he is expected to go and live on the side of B. If in case of patrilineal, it is not a problem, because what happens, women belong to group A, they come and live with group B after marriage. But women are not expected to manage the affairs in their group.
I'm not sure I understand.
So women are not expected to go and live in their or manage the affairs in their group. They go and live with the husband's group and that's it. Here it's peculiar. This man has to manage affairs in group A, but he is supposed to go and reside in group B. Now how does he do it? So he goes and lives in the same village. So in matrilineal societies, men generally prefer what is called as village endogamy or local. If he marries a girl in the same neighborhood or in the same village, he can live there, spend the whole day here and then go in the night and come back in the morning. Isn't it? So that's how men try to handle these things. So you can explain this by saying that in matrilineal societies, there is divergence between descent and authority. And describe the whole theory and explain how society is managed. This is the theory. What I gave you is theory. And then take any examples. Like you can take the example of Kasi society, Nair society, and explain how in both these societies this particular issue has been managed. So in Kasi's what happens? The youngest daughter comes and lives with the parents, and she is supposed to be the head of the family, and her husband also lives with her, but he doesn't have much role. It is the brother who has the role and he marries in the same village. Same in case of Nair. In case of Nair, because there is no strong concept of marriage itself, it is the brother who always lives in the Tarawat and he is the head of the Tarawat, whereas women only have visiting husbands who have no important role, and the brother itself can become visiting husband to many other women without ever having to live with them. So in Nair case, there is no such problem at all, because their marriage is not strongly institutionalized. Because in Nair case, what happens? Men and women only have very weak sexual relations without having a formal marriage and family. So in case of Nairs, the issue is that in the Nair case, men don't have to go and live on the wife's side, because first of all, they are not expected to live with their wife in the first place. So take Kasi case, Nair case, and explain how this is discussed. That's it. Next, discuss the impact of urbanization and feminist movement. And this most of you wrote very poorly. So how do you handle this question? First, The question is not about what is urbanization and what is feminism. That is not the focus of the question. But the question is, how is family changing under these forces? That's it. So how do you explain this? Briefly explain what is urbanization and briefly explain what is feminism. But I'm not expecting you to write feminism, what is its history, what is radical feminism, what is liberal feminism, how feminism has changed the world. No, all that story is not needed. It is cow story. But focus instead on how family and marriage are undergoing change. And here you can discuss first how family structure is changing. As we said, we are going from nuclear to joint to nuclear, or jointness is breaking down as per Ames discussed, jointness in orientation but nuclear in households. We can talk about rise in serial monogamy, increasing divorce rate, and then how functions are changing. Earlier family used to perform all functions, but today not necessarily so. And then various other things, like for example the aging, there is increasing age in marriage, age of marriage, increasing role of choice, people are having greater choice in marriage, traditional consanguineous marriages are declining, role of kin in choosing the marriage partner is also declining, choice is increasing, age is increasing, and along with this many new forms of marriages are emerging. Live-in is one. Then we are seeing increasing rise of single parent families. Then blended families. What is blended family? Blended family is because of remarriages. We just discussed, right? It will involve a man, woman, their children, the man's children from previous marriage, the woman's children from a previous marriage, all are living together. That is called as blended family. In that Ninu Korea movie, they'll show it. So, man, wife, their children, and their children from the previous marriage are also living with them. That is called as blended family. And you have other things like adopted families, foster families. Because of rise of surrogacy and IVF, you are having multiple complications, surrogate families. So all these are new trends that we are seeing in family. So you can discuss, all this must be discussed. So the question is about how family is changing, not what is urbanization, not what is feminism. And you must also discuss the rising marital friction and marital breakdown, which is leading to increasing divorce rate. So because of this, that is, divorce rate is increasing across the world. And I have some data here. So this shows that divorce rate across the world is increasing. And in Europe, across the world, the highest amount of divorces are in Luxembourg and Spain. In India, highest amount of divorces in Bangalore. So based on all this discussion, then finally you must talk about the future of family. Does family have future at all? That is the question. And then we will conclude by saying, as divorce rate is increasing, remarriage rate is also increasing. That shows that people have not given up or found a viable alternative to family, and they are trying to find a family that they desire, even if it takes multiple iterations. That's it. So discuss the various changes and finally close with divorce rates, marital breakdown, and discussion on the future of family. Right? Then 8th question we discussed. For 9th question, you will need a figure. I forgot to include it here. I will post it on the course group. You can take that picture. Yes. You can open the course test series group and see there. There I posted one picture. You can take that picture. That picture must be explained here. So this question is about that picture, the table. Again, the explanation for this you will find in Ember and Ember. So You will find the explanation for this in Ember and Ember. So what we are saying is on what factors bring about variation in residence. So we have different kinds of residence. So what are they? We have patrilocal, matrilocal. Primarily, let us focus on neolocal. These are the three, and then you can have bilocal and in fact, I'll share one more picture. If you have the data, you can also write the data of which is found in which kind of society. Yes, I sent that picture also. You can write the data and then discuss how. So if you look at that figure, where do you find patrilocal residence? Patrilocal residence is found in societies where we have internal warfare. It is found in societies where there is internal warfare. Then where is matrilocal found? Matrilocal is found in societies where there is external warfare and women contribute more to economy. This is found where there is internal warfare, and it is also found in situations where you have external warfare with women contributing, with men contributing more. This is the equation. So, in patrilocal is primarily found where you have internal warfare. Why? When you have internal warfare, which means the fighting groups are, the warfare is between neighboring villages or neighboring clans, which means somebody can attack the other person at a very short notice. Because somebody is attacking in short notice in internal warfare, the men who are in any society, who are the primary defensive force, primary fighting force is men and not women. So men, let's say village A is attacking B, their neighbors. This is internal warfare. So when A attacks in short notice, people of B, men in B must quickly mobilize. But if men in B are all dispersed because of matrilocality, then they can't come, they cannot run from different villages in the middle of the night and come back and fight. So when there is internal warfare, men who are all related through descent links must be localized. They must be living together. And how can that be done? It can be done only if you are following patrilocality. If it is external warfare, things are different. In external warfare, what happens? It is not between neighboring villages. It is between, let's say, neighboring kingdoms or neighboring tribes. For external warfare, there is notice, there is preparation. You can see them coming at you. So, it is not a surprise attack. There is considerable time, which means men who have to mobilize to fight together need not be in the same village. They can be in different place or they can be in the same village. Doesn't matter. Because there is time to prepare. So you can have 1 week's notice, they are coming at us, let us all come together and fight. So when there is external warfare, then contribution to economy matters. If men are contributing more, then patrilocality is seen. If women are contributing more to economy, then we see matrilocality. That is the situation. Neolocality is found in societies where there is high degree of commercialization. Bilocal residence is found in societies where there is a recent depopulation event. Depopulation means a lot of people are dead because of some disease like COVID or some natural disaster. A lot of people are dead. Because the people are dead, then what happens? The people who have survived end up living on the side of the family who have survived. So if husband side are available, you go and live with them. If wife side is available, you go and live with them. That is called as bilocal residence. Then we have Avanki local residence. Avanki local residence is rare, but it is found, if you look at that figure, Avanki local residence is found in societies having internal warfare. With pre-existing matrilineal groups. So if somebody is following, let's say, matrilineal descent for a long time, suddenly they realize that they are coming under internal warfare, that is, the neighboring villages are now fighting. Because there is warfare, overnight they can't become patrilineal because they are already following matrilineal anyway. So how do matrilineal societies respond to internal warfare? Men have to be living together. So how do they achieve that goal? By making sure that all the men live with the uncle. So that men who are related matrilineally, if they are all living with the uncle, then they can again go and fight. It is very simple. Here, men are living with the father, so they unite and fight. Here, instead of father, they are living with uncle and they unite and fight. That's it. So it is rare. It is found where there is internal warfare, but before internal warfare, there is pre-existing matrilineal descent group. Then this comes into practice. So this is what you must write for this answer. So that is question number 9. 10 is, I think most of you had content deficit. So for 10, I shared a handout today on the group. Please go through the handout. In that handout, there is a lot of content for both descent and alliance theories. Basically, you should discuss what is descent. Again, here there was no focus. So who are the thinkers? You cannot skip Evans, Radcliffe Brown, Evans Pritchard, Mayer Fortes. These three must be there. Then what do they believe? They believe that descent is the basis of organizing society. And why do they think so? Because they believe that descent groups have many important functions to play, and descent groups are like permanent structures in society. But then others, like alliance theory, is proposed by Claude Lévi-Strauss. He thinks that no, it is not descent, but it is alliance and exchange. Alliance and exchange, these are the more important things for society. And alliance theory, whenever you discuss alliance theory, you should talk about structures. According to him, he says that there are two structures, elementary structures and society can be seen in terms of having elementary structures and complex structures. And he also says exchange can be of two types. Exchange can be restricted exchange and generalized exchange. What is restricted exchange? This you see with matrilateral cross-cousin marriage. Yes? Matrilateral, this is bilateral. So bilateral gives rise to restricted exchange. Generalized exchange is seen with matrilateral and patrilateral cross-cousin marriage. And between them, he says that matrilateral leads to stronger integration of society. And he believes that alliance or exchange of women across groups is a stronger basis for society. So one, descent theory believes that descent is more important. Alliance theory believes that no, exchange or matrimonial alliances are more important for society. So finally you conclude that both are needed. Descent alone is not good enough. Alliance alone also is not good enough. So we need both systems to arrange society. No one is important. Because just because you have descent is not enough. Because of incest taboo, You have to marry outside descent group. Next, if there is alliance, is it enough? Because alliance means exchanging women between groups, which means groups must first be there. Only then alliance is possible. Can alliance happen without groups? So both are needed. So you can conclude by saying that it is wrong to think that alliance, descent is important or alliance is important. Both these are important for the working of society. There is no need to assume whether one is more important or the other is more important, right? You can say that and conclude. So that concludes our discussion of test 3. Any questions on test 3? So is test 3 clear? Right. So we'll close the test 3 discussion here.